Harper had always been a wanderer when it came to work, drifting from one job to another like a leaf never finding solid ground. Rarely did she last beyond the probation period. Stability, it seemed, was a stranger to her. Ethan, on the other hand, had grown tired of the constant change, tired of the financial strain, tired of pinning hope to every new beginning only for it to unravel weeks later. He had been leaning on her income for support, counting on her to share the weight of the world they were trying to build together. One evening, after trudging home from a particularly grueling day at work, Ethan collapsed onto the couch. The kind of weariness that seeps into the bones clung to him, but when Harper sat down beside him, smiling with that particular glint in her eyes, he mustered the strength to ask, "How are you doing?" Her entire face lit up like sunrise. "Actually," she said, almost breathless with excitement, "I start a new job tomorrow." For a moment, that lightness, that flicker of hope in her voice, softened something inside Ethan. Maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. She explained she'd been hired to work night shifts as a chef for a 24-hour food delivery service. The role sounded demanding, but it suited her energy, her rhythm. The first few months passed with surprising smoothness. Harper seemed to enjoy the work, often coming home humming, her hair smelling faintly of spices and fried oil. The night pay was generous, and soon her income stabilized. She started picking up extra shifts, and within a year, her routine had solidified into something resembling permanence. Ethan was quietly relieved. There was a calmness now, a rhythm to their life that had eluded them for so long. He watched her thrive, or so it seemed. But slowly, things began to shift in ways he couldn't ignore. Harper started spending lavishly, expensive handbags, designer shoes, spa treatments, high-end beauty products. Whenever Ethan raised a brow or voiced concern, she'd brush it off with a laugh, telling him not to worry. "I'm making enough," she'd say lightly. "I deserve to treat myself." She started frequenting the gym, toning her body with a sudden fervor. Her trips to beauty salons became routine. Her skin glowed. Her hair was always styled. Her clothes hugged her body in ways they hadn't before. Ethan noticed. Everyone noticed. At parties and gatherings, their friends would tease him. "You better keep an eye on her," one joked. "Young wife like that, someone's bound to snatch her up." Ethan laughed along, hiding the slight pang in his chest. "I can handle it," he replied confidently. Then came the invitation to a bachelor party. One of his friends leaned in with a mischievous grin, whispering that the event would take place at a well-known strip club downtown. Ethan hesitated, reluctant to go somewhere he felt no pull toward, especially behind Harper's back. But after enough nudging and coaxing, he agreed, eventually convincing himself it was harmless. He didn't tell Harper. That night, as she got ready for her own shift, he gave her a kiss on the cheek and stepped out, his heart heavy with the uneasy feeling of deceit. He hadn't done anything yet, but the lie by omission twisted uncomfortably in his gut. The club was dim, washed in neon reds and blues. The air pulsed with music, thick with perfume and liquor. Men filled the space, their conversations loud and crass, echoing off the walls. Ethan shifted uncomfortably in his seat, a stranger in this world of smoke and skin. "You need to loosen up," one of his friends clapped him on the back. "Come on, man. It's just for fun. I'm married," Ethan muttered, already regretting the decision. His friend laughed. "You're not married in here." The music blared, and lights dimmed further as a new performer took the stage. Ethan looked away instinctively, uninterested. But then he was nudged hard. "Dude, look. You gotta see this one." Ethan turned, and his world shattered. There, beneath the spotlight, dressed in sheer, luxurious lingerie, moving with practiced grace and confident seduction, was Harper. His wife. Everything around him blurred. The lights, the music, the laughter, they all dissolved into a suffocating haze as his eyes locked onto her. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. It was her. There was no mistaking it. Harper danced, oblivious to his presence, her movements fluid and hypnotic, captivating the crowd with a sultry smile Ethan had never seen before. A man at a nearby table waved to a waitress and whispered something in her ear, gesturing toward the stage. Ethan's stomach knotted. He watched the interaction with growing unease. his instincts flaring with dread. He waved the waitress over. What did he ask for? She glanced around, then leaned in close. Private room, she whispered. He wants the girl from the stage. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. What happens in a private room? He asked, though he already feared the answer. His friend hesitated, then murmured, You don't want to know. Just go. You should leave. But Ethan couldn't. He wouldn't. He sat frozen as the man left the table, weaving toward the private rooms at the back. A few minutes later, Harper appeared, her makeup perfect, her body poised, and disappeared behind the same door. Ethan's body shook not with fear, but fury. He stood and followed, silent, invisible, his heart pounding against his ribs. He reached the door, paused, then pushed it open. The room was dim and stifling. On a red couch sat the man, his pants around his ankles. Harper knelt in front of him, her expression startled and confused. Her eyes met Ethan's, and in that moment, everything in her face crumbled. The silence cracked as a bouncer stormed in, shoving Ethan back, pinning him with brute force. Ethan didn't resist. He couldn't. All the fight had drained from him, replaced by a hollow ache. Outside the club, the bouncer, less aggressive now, asked, She your wife? Ethan nodded slowly. The man sighed. She's been working here a while. Always said she was single. Never mentioned a husband, let alone a family. Ethan said nothing. He didn't need to. He walked away, shoulders heavy, breath shallow, the night air colder than it had any right to be. He didn't go home, didn't sleep. By morning, he had packed a bag, canceled his lease, and filed for divorce. Harper called again and again, but Ethan no longer had space in his heart for apologies wrapped in tears. He changed his number and moved on. Years passed. He found someone who felt like peace, a woman closer to his age, grounded and kind. They built a quiet life together, welcomed a daughter, created a home filled with love and laughter that didn't require pretending. Harper, on the other hand, was left to face the weight of her choices. The man she had serviced that night filed a formal complaint against the club, claiming emotional distress. Harper lost her job. Debt crept in like mold, consuming everything. Friends stopped answering her calls, and even acquaintances avoided her. She rented a tiny, dimly lit room and cried herself to sleep, overwhelmed by guilt and grief. She tried to date again, clinging to men who offered a smile or a kind word. But when she confessed the truth, they recoiled. One called her names she couldn't bear to repeat, then walked out without looking back. Now she drifted between temporary jobs, each one more degrading than the last. She carried the memory of Ethan with her, a ghost she couldn't exorcise. She remembered the warmth in his eyes, the way he used to hold her like she mattered. But memories weren't enough. Ethan had moved forward. She had stayed behind. And, in the ruins of her own making, Harper finally understood what it meant to lose something real. And no matter how many nights passed, no matter how many tears she shed, she couldn't undo what had been done.